Caroline Wilson to join us in a matter of seconds. But Jamie, firstly, welcome to you, Jamie.
How are you, guys?
Good.
Can I just preempt what I think Caroline Wilson will say about today's article and today's event with Ben Cousins?
Yep.
Gerard Healy spoke to Ben Cousins today. He said the club hadn't spoken to him. The club's come out and said they haven't spoken to him personally. Caroline Wilson will say from sources within the club.
Well, let's go to the lady herself, Jamie.
Caroline Wilson for Harvey Norman Photo Centres. Empty your memory card at Harvey Norman.
If you haven't seen the front page of The Age, it is Caroline's story. Richmond has warned its troubled midfielder Ben Cousins to curb his drinking. Revelations that the recovering drug addict has overindulged in alcohol over the past year came as he was readmitted to hospital at midnight on Sunday with stomach illness. Caroline Wilson joins us. Welcome to you, Caroline.
Hi, Dwayne. Hi, Jared.
Have you got the press release from the Richmond Football Club up there in Sydney yet that in response to media speculation raised today, they might as well have said in the Richmond release in response to Caroline Wilson's article on The Age today, the Richmond Football Club confirms that Ben Cousins has never been spoken to individually with regards to binge drinking.
That's not right, Dwayne. And I think in the case of Richmond and Ben Cousins and me today, I'm the collateral damage, but I can assure you it's true. The club has spoken to Ben over the last year on more than one occasion. I did not write that they counselled him. I did not say that they told him he was binge drinking. I said that they feared that his drinking could shorten his already shortened career, and they have spoken to him about that.
Why would the Tigers put out a release then, Caro? It just seems... I mean, as you heard the caller, I spoke to Ben today, and he said that they hadn't spoken to him about it. And to be fair, I spoke to him about it 12 months ago, said he should be absolutely 100% .000, just for the very reasons you nominated. But there does appear to be a communication gap here.
I just don't think it's very good publicity for Richmond, Jared, and I don't think that they want this story put around. I mean, I don't think... I don't like to be nasty about this, and I wish Richmond no ill will, but Ben Cousins denying a story to do with any form of drug abuse is not exactly full of credibility. And
but the club has denied it as well.
West Coast denied for what? How many years? I mean, I was asking them 2 years before they revealed that, or we found out that he had serious drug problems. I was asking them about this, and they were denying it, as he was. Look, I think Ben has been drinking, and I don't think that's a very good idea. And I think on occasion he's drunk too much. I know that to be a fact, and I know the club has spoken to him about it. I think you both know me well enough to know that you wouldn't write a story like that unless you were absolutely sure about it and unless you had it confirmed with more than one source.
And it wasn't hidden either. It was front page news in The Age today, Caroline, which a lot of the stuff you write is interesting wording of the Richmond press release that says that Ben Cousins has never been spoken to individually with regards to binge drinking. Does that open it up to the fact that, or the thought that maybe Richmond has spoken to Ben Cousins with somebody else in the room with regard to binge drinking, which means that they haven't spoken to him individually, but they spoke to him with somebody else in the room about binge drinking?
And maybe they didn't use the word binge drinking, Dwayne. Maybe they just said you shouldn't be drinking at all.
Right.
Look, this story, suggestions that there was drinking going on and that it might be more than just a glass of wine every couple of nights with dinner, came to light from Richmond people to me in February. You know, I then decided to take you through chapter and verse that maybe it would be worth looking at a story at Ben Cousins 1 year down the track on the eve of the Richmond-Carlton game. You know, has it worked with hindsight? And as a result of the investigation I was doing, it came to light that the club had spoken to him about his drinking. Now, this is something that was being said by his former manager. Well, he was certainly having issues with certain aspects of Ben's lifestyle and was telling friends about his concerns. But, of course, I wouldn't just write it on the say-so of a former manager who might have had an axe to grind with his former client. And it has been a fairly bitter split between Ben and Ricky Nixon. But when you get it confirmed by senior people at the club, as well as all of that, people you trust will then, and on the back of the hospitalisation, which may or may not have had anything to do with drinking or drug abuse, I think that you go with the story.
Can I move on?
As I said, I stand by it 100%. I know it's right.
Can I move on, Caro, and ask you about Richmond itself? 3 months or 4 months after Damien Hardwick has been appointed, we've heard from Benny Gale about his aspirations rightly or wrongly, people have made their minds up about their ambitiousness, if that's a word. However, ambitions. I thought it was good leadership. I don't think the 76,000 membership or 75,000 is as far away as perhaps a lot of people would have you think. I think the finals footy 3 times in 10 years or 5 years, and maybe premierships within 10 years is something that has to be an ambition, but is a lot further away than the 76,000 members. How do you see the club on the field, though, and how do you see them as a collective since Hardwick's been appointed?
Well, I think on field there's going to be a lot of pain. I think most experts who've had a look at Richmond over the summer realise that. If they're not the youngest team in the AFL, then they're in one of the bottom 3. And if you think that maybe Cousins and Simmons will be gone in a year or at tops 2, then they are going to be frighteningly young as you keep going. I think that the club is united for the first time. I think there's a CEO in there who is a very good media performer, who is happy to front the media, who's confident on his feet, who's respected and liked by the AFL, who is very much engendered the forces around Richmond. But I think they've got the job ahead of them. I mean, everyone keeps saying it, and it's true that, Richmond will probably bottom out completely this year, in a year where there's no priority pick, and it's in the form it's been in. And I think it's going to be a long, hard fight. But I believe for the first time they've got the right people there to try and fix the club. I think the president is passionate and believes in what he's doing and has some experience now and is learning how to operate as a president. I've always thought that he was a better man for the job than the previous man, and who can say whether Damien Hardwick can coach? But on all the available evidence, he's got the right attitude and the right spirit for what the club needs at the moment. So I think Richmond Football Club are going to be fine, but I think it's going to be a very long few years in the meantime.